One of these days I'll do a non-5-star review, but today is not that day. Hi, this is Betty Plus Books, and today I'm going to be reviewing The Ace of Spades by Faridah A. This is a book about two students in a private school who are the only two black students in the school, and they begin getting harassed in sort of a cyberbullying kind of way by an unknown person who seems to be out to ruin their reputations and their futures. I like this book a lot for a lot of reasons. It goes really into depth on a lot of social issues, including racism is one of the primary ones, but also privilege and difference in wealth. There's a lot of looking at how both of these students, one who is a scholarship student and one whose family is wealthy, are both experiencing racism. Just the ways it impacts them are much different between the two of them, but just because one of them has wealth doesn't mean that racism doesn't impact them as well. It shows that racism really isn't just an issue of having or not having money. It's much deeper than that in people's prejudices and people actively working against people who have darker skin color. Throughout the book, the main characters, Chiamanda and Devin, experience a lot of betrayal from people they trusted, friends and teachers and generally adults and systems that they thought that they could trust. And the way that this is done kind of starts out with like very small things, little jabs at the characters, but over time it becomes much more insidious. And there are some betrayals in the book that just really hit like a punch to the gut. And there are parts of the book where you think everything's going to be fine, and then all of a sudden something happens and you're like, oh gosh, this is a new twist that I didn't expect. It also looks not just at racism, but at prejudice against homosexuality and how that can manifest from people that you wouldn't expect, and sometimes how people you would expect to have that prejudice don't have that prejudice. I had heard this was a thriller, and during the first part of the book it didn't really feel too much like one. Like there were some elements of something weird's going on, but it was really a slow ramp up. And I really liked it about midway through the novel, where it goes from kind of a slow, like little bits and pieces that are kind of weird are happening, to a really accelerated, like drastic, okay, this is definitely a thriller and things are out to get you now kind of acceleration. Another thing I really loved is how subtly the author put in the idea of gaslighting into the book. And I feel like a lot of times when gaslighting happens, it's very heavy-handed. And in this book, it was like, it was definitely there and you could see it happening, but it was done in such a way where you did think like maybe the main character is a little bit crazy. Maybe people aren't just lying. Maybe they're losing their mind. I also thought the foreshadowing in here was really good. I feel like throughout they kind of dropped hints about what was going on and kind of made you change your mind throughout as to who you thought was responsible for the antagonism of the main characters in this book, and I really thought it was well done when they all tied it together. And there are some pieces where, looking back on the book, they didn't come out and flat out explain like, oh, this is what happened, but you can kind of see thinking about it, but you can kind of see thinking back on it, oh, that's what this person did, and this is where that hint came from and how that ties into the end, and how that connects, even though they didn't say this person did this at this time and this person did this at this time. I think it was really delicately done. I don't really have a lot of complaints about this book. I thought there were a few times where some of the betrayals that the characters experienced were fairly sudden, but I think it was hinting throughout that that was going to happen, even though it felt very abrupt when the time came. And I felt like it was explained why it was so abrupt, so I think that was fine. I made a mistake sitting on my knees and it was distracting me a lot, so we're up here now. So this was a 5-star read for me. There was nothing that I didn't like. The pacing was great. The main characters were a good combination of likable and unlikable in different ways. The side characters could be so likable sometimes that it really twisted your gut and made you feel betrayed when some of them did turn on the main characters eventually. I liked how everything was structured and paced, in that it started out very much like, hey, this kind of stinks, but it's probably not that big of a deal, and it'll be figured out soon, to, wow, this is really insidious and terrifying. Like, even though overall at the end of the book there's like a, hey, like none of this is like super based on a true story, but it's inspired by like structural racism. If I'd gotten to the end of the book and the author's note had been like, this super creepy thriller story was based on like something that actually literally happened, it was so well written and so detailed that I would have believed it if she had said, this actually happened and this is just a dramatization of those events, or just a fictional writing of those true events. So yeah, I love this. I gave it 5 stars. After I finished it, it was like 2 in the morning, and I think I was up for like just the next hour just thinking about it. So I definitely recommend this. If you've read this, please let me know what you thought of it in the comments. And if you have anything remotely like this to recommend, please recommend that to me as well. Thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe if you liked it. I make videos every Monday through Friday. So until next time, happy reading.